Commander Daesung stood at the large window of Earth's Defense Command Center. His eyes were fixed on the sky. What had been blue just hours ago was now dark with thousands of alien ships. They had appeared without warning. No one knew why they came. "Sir, we have counted over 3,000 vessels in Earth orbit," said Officer Min, her voice shaking slightly. "They are in perfect formation. All attempts at contact have failed." Daesung nodded but did not turn away from the window. At 52 years old, he had spent his life preparing Earth's defenses, but nothing had prepared him for this. "What are they waiting for?" he asked, more to himself than to anyone in the room. The alien ships had arrived 5 hours ago. They had not fired weapons. They had not sent messages. They simply formed a shell around Earth, blocking all paths to space. "Sir, the President is on line 1, called Captain Lee from his station. Daesung picked up the phone. "Madam President." "Commander, what are we dealing with?" The President's voice was calm, but Daesung could hear the fear behind it. "They appear to be a unified fleet. The design of the ships suggests one civilization, very advanced. They have positioned themselves to block all orbital paths. This is a blockade, Madam President. A blockade. But why? What do they want?" "I don't know yet. They haven't made any demands." As he spoke, screens around the command center began to flash red. Officer Min called out, "Sir, the aliens are deploying smaller craft. Thousands of them." Daesung watched as tiny dots emerged from the larger ships. The smaller ships spread out, forming a tighter net around Earth. "Are they preparing to attack?" asked the President, who could see the same data on her end. "I don't think so," said Daesung, studying the pattern. "They're just watching us." In cities around the world, people looked up at the sky in fear. The alien ships were visible even in daylight, dark shapes against the blue. News channels showed crowds in the streets. Some people prayed. Some cried. Some tried to leave the cities, causing traffic jams and panic. In his small apartment in Seoul, scientist Han Bin watched the ships through his telescope. Unlike others, his face showed wonder, not fear. "Incredible," he whispered, making notes. "Their formation is perfect. The energy output is beyond anything we've achieved." His phone rang. It was Defense Command. "Dr. Han, we need you at headquarters immediately," said the voice on the other end. Across the ocean, Captain Jae-yun prepared her Special Forces team. They might be called upon if things went bad. Her soldiers checked their weapons, though all knew they would be useless against the technology above. "Keep calm and be ready," she told them. "We don't know their intentions yet." Back at Command Center, Daesung received reports from around the world. No attacks, no landings, no communication. "Sir," called Officer Min, "the UN Security Council is meeting in 1 hour. They want you to brief them." Daesung looked at the clock. Day 1 of the alien blockade was ending. Night would fall soon. Would the morning bring answers? "Tell them I'll be there," he said. "And get me Dr. Han when he arrives. We need to understand their technology." As darkness fell across Earth, the alien ships turned on lights. From the ground, it looked like a new set of stars had appeared, cold, perfect, and threatening. Daesung looked at them and felt small. Humanity had always thought it was alone, or at least safe in its isolation. Now, everything had changed. "What do you want from us?" he asked the silent ships above. "Why are you here?" Only silence answered him as the first night of the blockade began. 2 years had passed since the alien ships first appeared. Earth had changed. People no longer looked up at the sky in fear. The alien blockade had become part of daily life. Dr. Han Bin sat in his lab, surrounded by screens showing the movements of the alien ships. For 2 years, he had watched them. For 2 years, he had searched for patterns. "There," he said, pointing to a screen. His assistant Sun Mudit looked where he pointed. "What is it?" she asked. "The small scout ships. They follow the same path every day. Look. Han Bin played a video showing the movement of the alien scouts. They have a gap in their patrol. It happens every 36 hours and lasts for 12 minutes. Sun Mei nodded slowly. 12 minutes isn't much time. It's enough, said Han Bin. He picked up his phone and called Commander Daesung. At Defense Command, Daesung had age. His hair was now gray at the temples. The stress of the past 2 years showed on his face. When his phone rang, he answered quickly. Dr. Han, what have you found? After listening to Han Bin's discovery, Daesung called Captain Jai Yun to his office. Jai Yun had changed too. Her face was harder now, her eyes always alert. She had spent 2 years training her team for a moment that might never come. You wanted to see me, sir? She asked, standing straight in front of his desk. Dr. Han has found a weakness in the alien patrol pattern, said Daesung. A 12-minute window that occurs every 36 hours. Jai Yun's eyes widened. Enough time for a mission. Perhaps. What would you do if I gave you those 12 minutes? Jai Yun didn't hesitate. Capture one of their scout ships. Bring it back for study. Daesung nodded slowly. That's against our orders. The World Council voted to avoid any action that might provoke the aliens. With respect, sir, 2 years of doing nothing has given us no answers. We need to understand their technology if we ever hope to break this blockade. Daesung stood and walked to the window. The alien ships were visible in the sky. As always, the plan would need to be perfect, he said finally. No mistakes. My team will be ready, said Jai Yun. 3 days later, Jai Yun and her team of 6 soldiers waited in a small hangar. They wore special suits designed for space. Their weapons were non-lethal. They needed the alien ship intact. Jai Yun checked her watch. 5 minutes until the patrol gap. Everyone ready. Her team nodded. They had practiced this mission hundreds of times. Remember, we have 12 minutes from start to finish. Not 1 second more. Their small craft launched exactly on time. It was Earth's most advanced ship, but compared to the alien vessels, it was primitive. Jai Yun piloted it herself, flying low to avoid detection. As Han Bin had predicted, there was a gap in the patrol. Jai Yun's craft slipped through, approaching one of the smaller alien scout ships from below. Magnetic clamps ready, said her second-in-command, Ta Wu. Attach in 3, 2, 1. Jai Yun maneuvered perfectly, and the clamps locked onto the alien ship. Inside the alien craft, strange lights flashed. Jai Yun and 2 of her team cut through the hull with special tools. They entered quickly. The inside of the ship was empty. No crew. Everything was automated. Start the download, ordered Jai Yun. Ta Wu connected devices to the alien controls. 8 minutes left, warned Jai Yun. The download seemed to take forever. Strange symbols flashed on their screens. Got it, said Ta Wu finally. Everything we could grab. They retreated to their own ship, detached from the alien vessel, and began their return journey. As they approached Earth, alarms sounded. The aliens had noticed the breach. Ships began to move, changing their patterns for the first time in 2 years. What have we done? Whispered Jai Yun as she watched the alien fleet suddenly come alive. Across the globe, people looked up in fear again as the alien ships began to position themselves over major cities. The stalemate was broken. What would come next? The alien ships had moved to hover over major cities for 3 days, but they took no further action. People waited in fear, but no attack came. Slowly, the ships returned to their usual positions. In a secure underground lab, Han Bin and his team worked day and nights, studying the data from the captured scout ship. The room was filled with screens and strange equipment. 20 scientists worked there, but Han Bin barely noticed them. His focus was complete. This makes no sense, he said, rubbing his tired eyes. Their technology is unlike anything we've seen. A quiet voice spoke from behind him. Maybe we're looking at it wrong. Han Bin turned to see Sang Woo, a young engineer who had joined the team only a month ago. Sang-woo was small and shy. He rarely spoke in meetings. "What do you mean?" asked Han-bin. "Their communication system," said Sang-woo, pointing to a screen showing strange wave patterns. "It's not using radio waves or any frequency we use. I think it's quantum-based." Han-bin looked at the patterns again. Quantum communication. That would explain why we never detected their signals. Sang-woo nodded. "I've been working on something that might help us understand it." For the next 3 months, Sang-woo worked without rest. Han-bin watched as the young engineer built a strange device using parts from the alien ship and Earth technology. "It's ready," Sang-woo announced one day. His face was pale from lack of sleep, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "What exactly is it?" asked Han-bin. "A translator. It can detect and decode their quantum signals." They turned on the device. At first, nothing happened. Then strange sounds filled the room. It was like no language they had ever heard. "It's working," said Sang-woo. "Now we just need to process it through our AI language systems." They called Commander Dae-sung. When he arrived, the team had already started to understand some of the alien communications. "What have you found?" asked Dae-sung. Han-bin's face was serious. "The aliens call themselves the Galactic Hegemony. They are a group of 17 different species that rule most of the known galaxy." "And why are they here?" asked Dae-sung. "They're afraid of us," said Sang-woo quietly. Han-bin nodded. "The blockade isn't preparation for an invasion. It's containment. They consider humans to be dangerous potential." Dae-sung looked confused. "Dangerous? We haven't even reached Mars properly. How are we a threat to a galactic power?" "It's not about our current technology," explained Han-bin. "It's about our potential." And he hesitated. "And what?" asked Dae-sung. "There's something in our biology that frightens them. We haven't translated that part clearly yet, but they keep referring to human genetic structure as the anomaly." Captain Jae-yun, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Can we use Sang-woo's device to send messages to them?" Sang-woo shook his head. "Not yet. I can receive and translate, but sending would require much more power and precision." "Keep working on it," ordered Dae-sung. "In the meantime, what else can you tell us about these aliens?" Han-bin turned to a screen showing what looked like a map of the galaxy. "They control thousands of star systems. Earth is on the edge of their territory. They've been watching us for centuries, but something recently made them decide to contain us." "What changed?" asked Jae-yun. "Our technology growth rate," said Sang-woo. "According to their communications, humans advance technology faster than any species they've encountered. They predict we would reach their level in less than 200 years. That's never happened before." Dae-sung looked at the alien ships visible through a small window. "So they fear what we might become." "Yes," said Han-bin. "And there's one more thing. They keep mentioning something called the Devourers. Whatever they are, the hegemony fears them even more than they fear us." Dae-sung's face was grim. "So we're caught between a galactic empire that wants to contain us and something that even they fear. Find out what these Devourers are. That might be our key to understanding everything." 1 week after Han-bin's team began translating the alien communications, something changed. The largest ship in the alien fleet moved from its position and descended toward Earth. It stopped in the atmosphere above the United Nations building in New York. "They're making contact," Commander Dae-sung said, watching the massive ship on the command center's main screen. After 2 years of silence, world leaders gathered quickly at the UN. Military forces stood ready, though everyone knew they would be useless if the aliens attacked. A message arrived, transmitted on all radio frequencies in perfect human languages. "We wish to speak. Send one representative." The world's nations argued about who to send. In the end, they chose Professor Taiho, a linguistics expert who had been helping Han-bin's team understand the alien language patterns. Taiho was 58 years old, with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his life studying how people communicate. Now he would speak for all of Earth. "Are you afraid?" Dae-sung asked him before he left for New York. "Yes," said Taiho honestly, "but also curious. We will finally learn why they came." A small alien craft descended from the main ship and landed on the UN grounds. Taiho walked toward it alone. The door of the craft opened, revealing a tall figure. The alien was nothing like humans had imagined. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with a body like a giant insect. It had 4 arms and 2 legs. Its head had large compound eyes that shimmered with colors. "I am Magistrate Saul of the Galactic Hegemony," the alien said in a voice that sounded like many voices speaking together. "You may call me Saul. I am Professor Taiho, representing Earth," Taiho said, bowing slightly. His voice was steadied despite his fear. "Come," said Saul. "We have much to discuss." Inside the alien craft, Taiho sat across from Saul at a strange table. The walls showed moving images of stars and planets. "Why have you blockaded our planet?" Taiho asked directly. Zal's large eyes blinked slowly. "Your species presents an unusual situation. You advance too quickly. Your genetic structure is problematic." "How are we problematic?" Taiho asked. "Most intelligent species develop slowly. It takes thousands of years to advance from basic tools to space travel. Humans did it in less than 10,000 years. That rate of advancement, combined with your aggressive tendencies, makes you dangerous." Taiho considered his words carefully. "We have been peaceful with you. We have not attacked your ships even once in 2 years." "True," admitted Saul. "This has been noted. It is why I am here now. Some in the hegemony believe we should modify our approach." This was the opening Taiho had hoped for. "We propose a limited technology exchange. We will share our knowledge, and you can share yours. We can learn from each other." Saul made a strange clicking sound. "You offer to share your primitive technology with us?" "Yes," said Taiho calmly. "Because even primitive ideas can sometimes lead to new perspectives. And we offer something else, a promise of peace if you ease the blockade." "Peace?" Saul's voice had a tone of surprise. "You would not seek revenge for the containment?" "No. We understand you acted out of caution, not malice." Saul was silent for a long time. Finally, it spoke. "I will bring your proposal to the Hegemony Council. It is unusual but worthy of consideration." As Taiho prepared to leave, he asked one more question. "What are the devourers that your people fear?" Saul's body went completely still. "How do you know of them?" Its voice was suddenly cold. "We have learned some things about your language," Taiho admitted. "The devourers are not a topic for this discussion," said Saul sharply. "Be grateful you have never encountered them." Back on Earth, Taiho reported to the world leaders and to Dae-sung's team. "They're considering our proposal," he said. "But something strange happened when I mentioned the devourers." Saul seemed truly afraid. "Did you learn anything else about why they fear our biology?" asked Hanbin. Taiho shook his head. "No, but Saul called it problematic several times. Whatever it is, it's central to their concerns about us." Sangwoo, who had been quiet during the meeting, suddenly spoke up. "I've translated more of their communications. They're arguing among themselves about Earth. Some want to keep the blockade. Others want to." He hesitated. "Want to what?" asked Dae-sung. "Destroy us completely," said Sangwoo quietly. 3 days after Taiho's meeting with Saul, something impossible happened. Every alien ship around Earth disappeared at the same moment. Commander Dae-sung was in the middle of a meeting when Officer Min burst into the room. "Sir, the ships are gone. All of them." Dae-sung ran to the window. The sky was clear and blue. No dark shapes blocked the sun. No alien vessels hovered over cities. "How?" he asked. "Did they use some kind of cloaking technology?" "No, sir," said Officer Min. Our sensors show they're truly gone. They all jumped away at exactly the same second. Around the world, people came out of their homes and looked up. Some cried with joy. Others danced in the streets. After more than 2 years of living under the alien blockade, Earth was free. But at Defense Command, Daesung felt no joy, only worry. "This isn't right," he said to Hanbin and Sangwoo. "The hegemony wouldn't just leave, not after containing us for so long." "I agree," said Hanbin. "Something must have happened." Sangwoo was checking the readings from his quantum translator. The quantum communication stopped at the exact moment they disappeared. It's like they all went silent at once. Jia-yun entered the room. She now commanded Earth's first space vessel built with technology learned from the alien scout ship. The ship could reach Mars in days instead of months. "Sir," she said to Daesung, "request permission to take my ship out and investigate." Daesung hesitated. "We don't know what's out there. What made them leave so suddenly?" "That's why we need to look," said Jia-yun. "If there's a threat coming, we need to know." Before Daesung could answer, alarms sounded throughout the building. Large screens showed energy readings from space. "What is that?" asked Daesung. Hanbin studied the readings. His face went pale. Massive energy discharges throughout the solar system, mainly near Jupiter. "Something is happening out there. Something big." Daesung made his decision. "Captain Jia-yun, prepare your ship. Take a small crew. Find out what happened to the hegemony fleet and why they left so suddenly." "Yes, sir," said Jia-yun. "We'll launch in 2 hours." As Jia-yun left to prepare her crew, Sangwoo approached Daesung. "Sir, I've been working on enhancing our ship's sensors. We might be able to track the quantum wake left by the hegemony vessels." "How long will that take?" asked Daesung. "I can have it ready before they launch," said Sangwoo. "Do it," ordered Daesung. 2 hours later, Jia-yun's ship was ready. Her crew of 5 included Tawu, who had been with her on the mission to capture the alien scout ship. "Our mission is to find out where the hegemony fleet went and why," Jia-yun told her crew. "We'll follow their quantum wake as far as necessary." From the control room, Daesung watched the ship prepare for launch. Something bothered him deeply about the alien's sudden departure. "Sir," said Hanbin quietly beside him, "do you think this could be related to the devourers that Saul mentioned?" "It's possible," said Daesung. "If there's something out there that scares even the hegemony, we need to know what it is." The launch countdown began. Jia-yun's ship, named Explorer, was the most advanced vessel humans had ever built, though it was still primitive compared to hegemony technology. As the ship rose into the clear sky, people around the world watched on screens. It was humanity's first real venture into space since the blockade began. In her captain's chair, Jia-yun felt the weight of her responsibility. She was leading humans back into space after years of confinement. "Quantum wake detected," reported Tawu from his station. "It leads toward Jupiter." "Follow it," ordered Jia-yun. "Maximum speed." As they accelerated away from Earth, none of them knew they were heading toward a graveyard of alien ships, and the answer to why the mighty galactic hegemony had fled in such a hurry. 3 days into their journey, Jia-yun's ship approached Jupiter. The massive gas giant loomed ahead, its swirling clouds visible through the main viewport. But it wasn't Jupiter that made the crew fall silent with shock. "Captain," whispered Tawu, "look." Floating in space around Jupiter were hundreds of destroyed alien ships. The mighty vessels of the hegemony fleet had been torn apart. Pieces of metal and strange materials drifted everywhere, forming a cloud of debris around the planet. "What could do this?" asked Jia-yun, her voice barely audible. "What could destroy so many advanced ships?" She ordered the crew to scan the area. Their sensors, enhanced by Sangwoo before they left Earth, picked up energy readings unlike anything they had seen before. "There's something else," said Tawu. "I'm detecting a life sign. One survivor." Jia-yun made a quick decision. "Prepare to retrieve them." Full protective gear. We don't know what we're dealing with. The survivor was in a small escape pod floating among the wreckage. The explorer's crew brought the pod aboard carefully. Inside was a small alien with blue skin and 4 eyes. It was clearly injured and afraid. "I am Captain Jai-Yun of Earth," she said, approaching slowly. "Can you understand me?" The alien looked at her with all 4 eyes wide. "Earth? The contained world." It spoke in a high musical voice. "Yes, we are no longer contained. Your fleet left suddenly." "Left?" The alien made a sound like bitter laughter. "We fled. I am Thrill, communications officer on the hegemony cruiser Voidlight." Jai-Yun helped Thrill to the ship's medical bay, where the alien sat on a bed designed for humans. It looked small and lost. "What happened here?" asked Jai-Yun. "What destroyed your fleet?" Thrill's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The Devourers. They found us." Back on Earth, Dae-Sung and Hanbin were monitoring the explorer's transmissions. When they heard Threll mention the Devourers, they exchanged worried looks. "Ask more about these Devourers," Dae-Sung instructed Jai-Yun through the communication system. Jai-Yun nodded and turned to Threll. "Who are the Devourers? What do they want?" "They are ancient," said Threll. "They move through the galaxy consuming civilizations, not for food or resources, but for—" The alien paused, searching for the right word. "For their essence, their uniqueness. They take what makes each species special and add it to themselves." "And they attack your fleet?" asked Jai-Yun. "Yes, without warning. They appeared in ships larger than anything in our fleet. They used weapons we couldn't understand. Most of us died in minutes. Those who could fled." "Where did the surviving ships go?" asked Tau. "Scattered," said Threll, "running to the edges of hegemony space, hoping the Devourers would not follow." Jai-Yun sent all this information back to Earth. As Dae-Sung listened, he felt a chill. "Sir," said Hanbin, "Threll hasn't mentioned why the hegemony was containing Earth." "Ask him," Dae-Sung instructed Jai-Yun. On the Explorer, Jai-Yun turned back to Threll. "Why did your people blockade Earth for over 2 years?" Threll looked away. "I am only a junior officer. I was not told everything." "But you must know something," pressed Jai-Yun. Threll sighed, a strange whistling sound. "I know that humans have a unique genetic structure. Something in your DNA makes you resistant." "Resistant to what?" asked Jai-Yun. Before Threll could answer, alarms sounded throughout the ship. Tai-Wu checked the sensors. "Captain, energy readings like the ones that destroyed the hegemony fleet. Something's coming." Jai-Yun rushed to the bridge, leaving Threll in the medical bay. Through the viewport, she saw a distortion in space, like water rippling. Something massive was appearing. "Get us out of here," she ordered. "Maximum speed back to Earth." As the Explorer turned away from Jupiter, Jai-Yun saw it briefly. A ship so large it made the hegemony vessels look tiny. Its surface seemed to shift and change, never staying one shape for long. "The Devourers have found you," said Threll, who had followed Jai-Yun to the bridge. "And now, they will find Earth too." The Explorer raced back to Earth, pushing its engines beyond their limits. Behind them, the massive Devourer ship did not give chase. It simply watched them go. "Why aren't they following us?" asked Tau. "They don't need to hurry," said Threll. "The Devourers are patient. They have existed for millions of years. They will come to Earth when they are ready." When the Explorer reached Earth, Commander Dae-Sung was waiting. He stared at Threll with both curiosity and suspicion. This was the first alien to ever set foot on Earth. "Welcome to our planet," said Dae-Sung formally, "though I wish it were under better circumstances." Threll bowed slightly. "Thank you for saving me, Commander. I only wish I had better news to bring." In the command center, Earth's leaders gathered to hear Threll speak. The alien stood in the center of the room, small and blue against the backdrop of humans. "The Devourers are ancient," Threll explained. They consume civilizations by first studying them, then absorbing what makes them special. They will scan your planet before they come. As if on cue, alarm systems around the world began to sound. Strange signals bombarded Earth's communication networks. TV screens, radios, phones, and computers all picked up the same strange patterns. "They've begun," said Threll quietly. "Those are scanning patterns. They're looking for specific genetic signatures." Sang-Woo studied the signals on a computer screen. "These are advanced quantum patterns. They're searching through our entire population." Dae-sung turned to Threll. "You said humans have something in our genetic structure that makes us resistant. Resistant to what?" Threll hesitated, then spoke. "To the Devourer's influence. When they consume a civilization, they take over minds first. Their scanning beam lets them control the thoughts of most species. But humans..." Threll paused. "Humans have an unusual brain structure that might resist this control. That's why the hegemony contained us," asked Hanbin. "To protect us?" "No," said Threll. "To hide you. The hegemony feared that if the Devourers found humans and couldn't control you, they would become more dangerous. They might create new weapons using human DNA." Taiho, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "So the blockade was meant to keep the Devourers from finding us. But now they have." "Yes," said Threll. "And the hegemony abandoned you to save themselves." A heavy silence fell over the room. Earth was now facing an enemy that had easily destroyed the mighty hegemony fleet. Suddenly, Taiho stood. "We need to contact the remaining hegemony forces. We need an alliance." Threll's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "Alliance? With humans? The hegemony would never." "They would if it's their only chance of survival," interrupted Taiho. "The Devourers destroyed much of your fleet. The rest are scattered and afraid. But if humans can resist their mind control, we might have something the hegemony needs." Dae-sung nodded slowly. "Professor Taiho is right. Can you help us contact your people, Threll?" The alien hesitated, then nodded. "I can try, but many will not want to listen." Using Sang-Woo's quantum communicator, Threll sent messages to the scattered hegemony ships. For 3 days, there was no response. The strange scanning signals continued to bombard Earth. People grew afraid. Then, on the 4th day, a response came. A hegemony ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. Then another, and another. "They're coming back," said Jae-yun, watching the radar screen. "Not to blockade us this time," said Dae-sung, "but because they have nowhere else to go." A message arrived from the lead hegemony ship. "We will listen to your proposal, humans." Taiho prepared to speak for Earth once again. This time, he would not be asking for freedom from containment. He would be offering an alliance against a common enemy. "Tell them," said Dae-sung, "that human unpredictability might be the one thing the Devourers cannot consume." 30 hegemony ships now orbited Earth alongside human space stations. It was a strange sight. The same alien vessels that had once blockaded the planet now working with humans. In a large meeting room at Defense Command, humans and aliens sat together. Commander Dae-sung and Captain Jae-yun represented Earth's military. Han-bin and Sang-Woo brought their scientific knowledge. Taiho handled diplomatic matters. The hegemony was represented by Admiral Kree, a tall alien with silver skin, and several of their top scientists. "The Devourers will reach Earth in 7 days," said Admiral Kree. "We have studied them for centuries but found no weakness." Han-bin stood up. "Maybe you were looking in the wrong place. We've analyzed the scanning signals they're sending. They use a specific quantum frequency to communicate." Sang-Woo continued. "Their ships all connect to each other through this frequency. It's like a hive mind." "We know this," said one of the hegemony scientists impatiently. "But their communication system is too powerful to disrupt." "For you, perhaps," said Sang-Woo quietly. He tapped on a tablet, and a complex diagram appeared on the main screen. "I've modified my translation device. I believe we can create a jamming field that will block their quantum frequencies. The room went silent. Admiral Kree leaned forward, all four of his eyes focused on Sangwoo. This is impossible. We have tried similar approaches for centuries. You didn't have human brains working on the problem, said Dae-sung. Our unpredictability has advantages. Han Bin explained the plan. The jamming device must be deployed directly into the heart of the Devourer fleet. It will disrupt their Hotic mind communication, confusing them and breaking their coordination. How do we get the device into their fleet? Asked Jai-yun. They'll destroy any ship that approaches. Sangwoo looked down at his hands. We need a small, fast ship, one that can slip past their defenses, deploy the device, and escape before they react. A suicide mission, said Admiral Kree bluntly. No one argued. The room was quiet again until Jai-yun spoke. I'll take the Explorer. With some modifications, it might be fast enough. Dae-sung shook his head immediately. No, I cannot approve this. Sir, with respect, I'm the most experienced pilot we have, said Jai-yun. This is our only chance. Dae-sung looked at Jai-yun for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He walked to Jai-yun and put his hands on her shoulders. Jai-yun, he said, his voice suddenly personal, not professional. I cannot let you do this because you are my daughter. Gasps filled the room. Jai-yun's eyes widened in shock. What? That's not possible. Your mother never told you, said Dae-sung quietly. We agreed it was better that way. I couldn't raise you while building Earth's defenses, but I watched over you. I guided your career from a distance. Jai-yun stepped back, her face showing anger and confusion. Why tell me now? Because I will take your place on this mission, said Dae-sung firmly. I will not lose you. Jai-yun straightened her back. No, that is not your decision to make. You kept the truth from me my whole life. You don't get to decide how I live or die now. She turned to the others in the room. Earth needs Commander Dae-sung's leadership. I am a pilot. This is what I was trained to do. Admiral Kree interrupted. This argument is pointless. The mission requires both hegemony and human crew members. No human can operate our technology alone, and no hegemony member can resist the Devourer's mind control. Then I will take a mixed crew, said Jai-yun. Volunteers only. Tai-woo stood up. I volunteer. 3 hegemony officers also stood. Dae-sung looked at his daughter, seeing her determination. He knew he could not stop her. Very well, he said finally, but we will give you every advantage we can. Sangwoo, work with the hegemony engineers to make the Explorer as fast as possible. The next 5 days were a blur of activity. The Explorer was rebuilt with hegemony technology. Sangwoo's jamming device was tested and improved. Earth and hegemony forces prepared for the coming battle. The night before the mission, Dae-sung found Jai-yun looking at the stars. I'm sorry I wasn't part of your life, he said. Tomorrow is what matters now, said Jai-yun, not the past. They stood together in silence, father and daughter, watching the stars that would soon be a battlefield. The day of the mission arrived. The Devourer fleet had entered the solar system, moving slowly but steadily toward Earth. Their ships were massive, strange shapes that seemed to shift and change as they moved. Jai-yun stood on the bridge of the Explorer, now barely recognizable with its hegemony upgrades. Her crew was ready. Ta-woo and 2 other humans, plus 3 hegemony aliens. The jamming device is secured, reported Ta-woo. Sangwoo says it will work for sure. Jai-yun nodded. Everyone remember the plan. We approach using the shadow of Mars for cover. We get as close as we can to their main ship. We deploy the device and run. From Earth, Dae-sung watched the Explorer depart. Han Bin stood beside him. Will it work? Dae-sung asked quietly. The science is sound, said Han Bin. But much depends on timing and luck. The Explorer moved quickly through space. The combined human hegemony fleet positioned itself between Earth and the approaching devourers. It looked small compared to the massive enemy force. "Entering Mars' shadow," reported Tawu. "All systems dark." The ship slipped silently around Mars, using the planet to hide from the devourer's sensors. Ahead, they could see the enemy fleet. Dozens of enormous ships, each one bigger than the largest hegemony vessel. "Their main communication hub is at the center," said one of the hegemony crew members. "We must get within 5,000 kilometers to deploy the device." Jai-Yun guided the explorer closer, moving slowly to avoid detection. They were now among the devourer ships, tiny compared to the giants around them. "We're in position," whispered Tawu. "Ready to deploy." Jai-Yun took a deep breath. "Deploy now." The jamming device launched from the explorer, flying toward the central devourer ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then alarms sounded. "We've been detected," shouted Tawu. "They're locking weapons." "Full power to engines," ordered Jai-Yun. "Get us out of here." The explorer shot forward, but the devourers were already firing. Energy beams cut through space around them. The ship shook violently. "Engine damage," reported a crew member. "We're losing speed." Jai-Yun gripped her chair. Did the device activate? Tawu checked his screen. "Yes, it's working. Look at the devourer ships." On their screens, they could see the massive enemy vessels starting to drift. Some were turning away from Earth. Others were moving in random patterns. The jamming was breaking their hive mind connection. The human hegemony fleet attacked, targeting the confused enemy ships. The battle was fierce. Many defender ships were destroyed, but the devourers were retreating. The explorer, damaged but still moving, limped back toward Earth. Half the crew was injured, but they had succeeded. On Earth, people cheered as the news spread. The devourers were leaving the solar system. When Jai-Yun's ship finally landed, Dae-Sung was waiting. He embraced his daughter tightly. "You did it," he said, his voice breaking. "You saved us all." After the celebrations, a meeting was called. Threll had important information to share. The small blue alien stood before the human and hegemony leaders. "There is something you should know," said Threll. "The truth about the blockade." Everyone went quiet. Threll continued. "The blockade was never meant to contain humanity. It was to protect you." Han Bin frowned. "Protect us? From what?" "From the devourers," said Threll. "They have been tracking human biological signatures for centuries. Your species produces a unique brain pattern that the devourers can detect from great distances." Dae-Sung's eyes widened. "So the blockade was hiding us?" "Yes," said Threll. "The hegemony discovered that humans possess a genetic structure that makes you immune to the devourer's influence. We hoped to keep you hidden until we could find a permanent solution. Instead, we found the solution ourselves," said Sang-Woo quietly. Admiral Kree stepped forward. "Humans have proven to be more than we expected. Your unpredictability and resilience are exactly what the galaxy needs against threats like the devourers." "What happens now?" asked Taho. "Now," said Admiral Kree, "Earth becomes the center of a new alliance, one dedicated to hunting down the remaining devourer forces and protecting all species." Dae-Sung looked out at the stars visible through the window. He thought about how quickly everything had changed. 2 years of blockade, a few weeks of fear and battle, and now a new beginning. "We were never meant to be contained," he said. "We were meant to lead."